Welcome to Food for Thought podcast. Today's episode is What Do Elephants Have to Do with White Elephant Gift Exchanges? Hi everyone, my name is Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. I am your host. You can find me at joyfulvegan.com. If you're interested in ethical travel, you can check out joyfulvegantrips.com. And as a reminder, as always, this podcast is 100% listener supported. There are no sponsors or ads here on Food for Thought. So please join other supporters by going to patreon.com/Colleen Patrick-Goudreau to become a supporter today at your chosen level. Thank you so much in advance for supporting, for subscribing, and for listening. If you have been following my work for a while, you know that one of the things I do is examine the animal-related words and phrases we use every day, animal-related words and expressions I call animologies. Some animologies are positive, some are pejorative, but they all reflect how deeply rooted animals are in our consciousness, in our history, in our language, in our hearts, and in our habits. I've received a number of emails from listeners telling me what animologies they're intrigued by and would like to know the origins of. And at this time of year, I thought I would start with something many of us partake in during the holidays, and that is a white elephant gift exchange, sometimes called Yankee swap, which frankly I have never used, sometimes called Dirty Santa. I grew up calling it white elephant gift exchange. So a white elephant gift exchange is basically a party game where, as the name implies, gifts are exchanged among the participants, and everyone has different rules for this game, but the idea basically isn't necessarily to gift expensive or even highly valuable items in this party game. The goal is to have fun, frankly. The goal isn't to receive or give highly prized gifts, but you can do that as well. So check in with the rules if you have been invited to a white elephant gift exchange. Now, we play this on our Christmas Alsace trips on the last night of our trip, and it's always a blast. And if you think about it, it's quite aligned with the zero waste lifestyle, especially if you're using something you already have in your house. You can wrap a gift you were given in the past, but never worn, never used, or you can buy a new one. So here's how it works. Each participant brings one wrapped gift to the party. The host may suggest a maximum value for each gift. That's what we always do during our Dirty Santa, is what we tend to call it when we do these in Alsace with our travel partners. But basically having a maximum value helps to level the playing field. Having some gifts be kind of legit items and some be silly is part of what makes it fun, especially when they're wrapped beautifully and elaborately and you don't know what's inside. Some are small, some are large, and no one except the person who brought the present knows what's under that wrapping. So all the gifts are placed in a single location, and the person who goes first chooses any one of the wrapped gifts and opens it. It could be a pair of socks, it might be a tin of tea, it might be a set of jams and jellies, or it could be a Santa hat, or a whoopee cushion, or a cat calendar, which actually wouldn't be a joke gift to me. So the recipient who opens that might love what they got. They might love that cat calendar. They might love the whoopee cushion. They might love the jams and jellies, or they might not. But once they open it, their turn is over. This goes for the first person whose turn it is. On subsequent turns, each person whose turn it is has the choice to either pick and unwrap a new present from the pile or to steal another's. In this case, the second person who goes could steal that cat calendar or jam and jelly jar, or they could pick a new gift. So let's say they really want that cat calendar. They could walk over, steal the gift they want, which means the person whose gift was stolen can now either choose another wrapped gift or, as the game goes on, go steal from another player. And so to avoid perpetual never-ending circles, rules usually mandate that each gift can be stolen only twice, or the way we play it, 3 times. per game. And it's really funny to see which gifts become the most coveted and stolen items. And sometimes it can get pretty heated in a fun way, in a fun competitive way. But basically you keep doing this until everyone has picked or stolen a present. And usually the person who went first, because obviously they didn't get to steal from anybody, they usually get to, at the very end, if they want to steal from anyone, or to just keep the cat calendar they've been given. So once everyone has a gift, the game is over, and you might be left with something you really wanted. You might be left with a dud, but that's not the point. The point is it's kind of fun and hilarious, and that's the white elephant gift exchange. It's an etymology, but what do elephants have to do with this game? Well, as you know, elephants are typically gray, whether they're African elephants or Asian elephants. What distinguishes those two types of elephants is usually their size and the shape of their ears. So a white elephant is a rare elephant. Indeed. White elephants, also called albino elephants, although they're not completely white, they're usually just missing pigment. So they have a lighter skin, a paler hair and nails and eyes. And they tend to be found in such Southeast Asian countries as Burma, Thailand, Laos. They're extremely rare. And as such, historically, they were highly prized by the ancient monarchs of these countries and kept them as a symbol of royal power and prosperity. So there is such a thing as a white elephant. Figuratively speaking, however, a white elephant is considered a burdensome or costly enterprise or possession, one that appears magnificent, but that is in actuality a financial liability because of the cost of maintaining it. Okay, so that's what it means for something to be a white elephant. It means a burdensome or costly possession or endeavor. Okay. So this figurative meaning originated in part from apocryphal tales that emerged in the 1800s. According to such stories, Siamese kings, remember Thailand used to be called Siam, so essentially kings of Thailand, Siamese kings would cunningly give white elephants, the white elephants they prized, to someone they were displeased by and wanted to punish because they knew the recipient would have to spend a fortune to keep these animals. Because they were considered sacred animals, white elephants couldn't be set out to work to offset the cost of feeding them. And because they were a royal gift, they couldn't just get rid of them, the recipient. So these people who had fallen out of favor with the king would inevitably be ruined financially. And that is said, it's said, how white elephant came to refer to something that is useless, burdensome, or less than desirable. The term white elephant has been used since the 1800s to refer to a less than desirable gift, and its origins, that whole story I just told you, is most likely a bunch of bunk. You've heard me say before that when there are neat, cute little stories to go along with the etymology of a word, it's most likely not true. Okay, so white elephants are a thing, and white elephants have indeed been valued in the countries they're found, and even by the monarchs in those countries, ancient monarchs. In the Buddhist tradition, white elephants were a sign of status and good fortune, like many other rare things, but the idea that kings would give them away as a way to punish their enemies is just highly, highly unlikely. Still, the story about that concept would have been told and then repeated enough to be believed so that today we have the origins of the figurative meaning of a white elephant being a burdensome gift. And so you can see the leap from that figurative meaning to the name of the gift exchange party. The notion of swap parties have been around for a very long time, though they did start picking up steam in terms of those that can actually be, you could put your finger on when they started gaining popularity around 1901. Early descriptions of swap parties recommended that players bring the most absurd gifts possible, finished in the game by handing out prizes for the best gifts and the worst gifts. So we've done that as well, and they can be quite fun, especially if you bring to the swap party, the White Elephant Exchange, a gift that perhaps you'd been given in a previous White Elephant gift exchange. The term White Elephant Party first appeared in a joke published in 1907. So this is where it can be traced to it being in writing. 1907, in a newspaper in Nebraska called the Columbus Journal. This is according to a blogger named Peter Jensen Brown. I was looking this up so we can know exactly when we can trace its origins to. And so here's how the joke goes in the paper. Here's how it goes. A shocking thing happened in one of our nearby towns. One of the popular society women announced a white elephant party. Every guest was to bring something she could not find use for, and yet too good to throw away. 9 out of the 11 women invited brought their husbands. Okay, so that was the joke. Okay, so it was later published in newspapers all across the United States. By 1908, society pages in newspapers started publishing notices for actual white elephant parties where attendees were encouraged to make gifts of objects they wanted to get rid of. So white elephant gift exchanges have remained relatively unchanged since then, although the rules differ from place to place. What I want to know is how they came to be called Dirty Santa by some people. Actually, it appears that that's probably related to, I don't think dirty, because when I hear Dirty Santa, it sounds like he's naughty, but I don't think that's what it means. I think it has to do with the fact that stealing gifts is bad, and if Santa were doing that, it wouldn't be good. Dirty, rotten scoundrel kind of dirty, not dirty, perverted dirty. Anyway, so that would make Santa pretty awful if he were giving undesirable presents and encourage stealing. So that's why you get Dirty Santa. But there you have it. And relatedly, in Oakland every year, and I know this is the case in many other places as well, there's a fundraiser for the Oakland Museum of California, our local museum, and it's called the White Elephant Sale. The idea is that members of the community donate items that are then displayed and offered to the public who come to the White Elephant Sale to shop and browse and buy items, the proceeds of which support the museum. And we've gone several times, actually. It's like a big garage sale, basically. The museum has guidelines, of course, as to what condition donated items should be in. And while they don't encourage useless items, they do, of course, want to encourage people to pay for the items that are donated so the proceeds can go to the museum. The idea behind such fundraisers is that donors would be able to kind of unload their unwanted tchotchkes, and the organization would generate a profit from the notion that one person's trash is another person's treasure. And so there you have it. As for pink elephants, I thought I would just mention that's an entirely different story. If you drink your fair share at holiday parties and at white elephant gift exchanges, I suppose you'll see pink elephants, which is a euphemism for a hallucination brought on by the excessive consumption of alcohol. For decades, people would refer to all manners of animals, especially colored ones, as a stand-in for a typical drunken hallucination. By 1905, pink elephants became the default animal of drunken hallucination choice. Jack London, a favorite author of mine who I've talked about here on this podcast in relation to his animal advocacy, describes one kind of alcoholic in his autobiographical story, John Barleycorn, in 1913. Quote, he's talking about 2 different types of drinkers, and then he says there's this one, there's that one, and then he says there's one who falls frequently in the gutter and who sees in the extremity of his ecstasy blue mice and pink elephants. He is the type that gives rise to the jokes in the funny papers. Sadly, and unfortunately, Jack London would know, unfortunately. So there you have it. Why the holiday gift swap game is an animology. May you enjoy your white elephant gift exchange, and may you never see pink elephants. Mostly, I hope you get to see real elephants in the wild. If you would like to join me doing that, like that segue, do you like that segue? If you want to see gray elephants in the wild, go to joyfulvegantrips.com. You can see which trips would enable you to do that. We had to move our Botswana, South Africa trip again because of COVID. And there is a spot available for one single if you would like to join me in 2022. That's when we're moving our Botswana trip to. This is a trip that we started filling up in 2019. So someday this trip will happen once COVID stops wreaking havoc on our lives. So in the meantime, For the animals, this is Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. Thanks so much for listening.